Hello, today I'm going to be going over the budget features that are on Google Sheets. The first thing you want to do is sign into your Google account and open up Google Sheets. You can see already in the templates open, there's some options for either a monthly budget or annual budget. I'm going to go through both. We're going to go ahead and click on monthly budget first to see. When you go in, this is a whole template. So all these numbers that you see on the screen are examples to show you as we're going what's going on. All this can be changed, so you can see that um, like in the top left hand corner, you can say get started, and you'll start by setting up your balance, and you can customize categories and what you plan to spend on income and expenses. As you enter in the transactions, the sheet will automatically update you to show a summary of your spending for a month. Um, it gives you a recommendation not to edit the cells that aren't highlighted. For example, like down the under here expenses, you can see all of these ones that are highlighted. It recommends that you only edit these ones because these other ones that are not in white have a formula in them, but you can still go ahead and edit them in there. It's not going to do anything. It's just for the sample purposes. So if we're going to go ahead and get started, like if I'm going to show you to do this, in the right hand corner you can see starting balance. They've used $1,000. If you want to change that, you can just double click on the cell, or if you just click on the cell once in this top left hand corner where the FX is, you can go ahead and click on that and change your amount. So let's say instead of 1,000 you wanted $5,000. You enter $5,000 and you would enter, and you can see how everything changes. We can see how my starting balance is at 5,000, my ending balance is at 5,500, because if you see on the right, we can do different type of savings. You can set up the types of savings you want to look for each month. As we go down, it'll show you some great tools like expenses, what you plan to spend, but more that compared to what you actually do, to show how far on or off you are each month. Same thing with your income, your planned and your actual. So as we go down, you'll see you have different categories. You can change them. Like if you don't need gifts, you can change it to something else. We have food, gifts, medical, home, transportation, anything you think you would need. And then there's 3 rows. We'll have planned, what you plan to spend, what you actually spend, and the difference. So like how much you save or how much you lost. And same thing when it comes to income with our savings, our paycheck, bonus, interest, other things. What you plan to spend, actually spend your difference. Right now you'll see numbers in the chart because this is an example of showing you what could happen. So I'm going to show you also what can happen. So like if we went to food, I clicked on the cell and I plan to spend $200, you'll see how automatic everything changed. My plan went all the way up to $1,150. My actual is 1,000. My difference is plus 150. Now, for my actual, if you want to, you can go into the formula if you want and delete it. And let's say you actually spent $400. This shouldn't really be changed, but it can be changed. I'm doing this for the purposes of showing this to you. So I'm going to hit donut show again for 5 minutes, hit OK, and you'll see 400. You'll see my difference change. And you can do that for all these once your whole month is over. And same thing with your savings to help really keep you on track. Also at the bottom of the page, you'll see summary, then you can hit transaction. This is, you can add or change categories. This is a great way of keeping track of what's going on. So you'll see you can have a date, you can enter in a date of when the transaction happened, the amount, what was it for, and the category. And you can have all these categories come back from, if you go to your summary of your expenses, and so you could, if you change one of these categories, it'll change in your transactions. And same thing for income as well. And so that way you can, as soon as you make something, you can keep track of this for the whole month, and you can always add rows, delete rows to everything. So everything is in one place. So that's really helpful for like if you're a family and you're really just trying to stay on budget, like you're planning for a child or you're saving for your wedding or vacation. This type of tool is great because you can help really keep yourself on track, and it's always there, and it's always accessible by your computer or by your phone. And you can share it with your significant other. So if they need to add expenses as things come, it makes it easier, and you guys both can see what's going on like a great page. Another great type of budget, if we go back out of this, is an annual budget. Now, this would be more for like a company or an organization. It's another great tool. If you open this, you'll be able to see what your starting balance is. Same thing. You can click on the row, and let's say our starting balance, we don't want to be 5,000, we want it to be 10,000. So go ahead and enter that in. So that's going to change everything. This has couple more pages. So we have the setup page, then we have the expenses, income, and summary. Now on here, expenses. Now you can set it up and change all of these names. This is completely customizable, but you'll have it for the whole year, which is great. And what type of activities, like if you were a huge family and you want to do this as well, like not only just organizations, this is a great one too. But like on a different type of scale, like more like a yearly scale. You could have your children and what they need, activities, allowance, medical, childcare, clothing, whatnot, what you spent through each month, and it'll give you a total and an average. So this one is a little different because it doesn't show you what you plan to spend versus what you actually, this is just what did you spend. So like if you're not necessarily trying to see how much you spend, but you're just wanting to know like what you are, not trying to stay on a budget, not really focusing on that, this is a great tool because you also have your debt, which is another one people always have struggle with, like taxes, credit cards, loans. Same thing, all the months, how much you spend, and your average, your education, like if you have kids in school or if you're in school yourself, that's great. Entertainment, so like anything you want to buy, like you bought sports tickets or you bought some books, like that's a great way to keep track of things that you don't think are going to add up but could end up adding up a lot. Every day is a great one too. So you'll just have your groceries, your restaurants, stuff like that, and gifts, especially around the holiday season. This could be very helpful to see how much you're spending compared to February, compared to December is like when gifts go up. Health and medical to see how much you spend up through the whole year. If you get really sick that year, what it is. Then you have a home category. Well, obviously you have your mortgage or your rent, your taxes, and improvements to see what your trend is through the whole year. When does it go up? When does it go down? Same thing with insurance, and pets. Like if you didn't like to keep track and see how expensive is it really to keep a pet, like is this worth having or is this a smart idea for me? Your technology, which you probably don't realize how much money you spend on that, is a great thing to keep track of. Transportation is another thing you really don't think of. You think about driving around and everything or taking the bus, but you don't realize how much in a whole year or even a whole month they could add up. Same thing with travel. If you're planning a vacation or you went on vacation, you can see how much money you really spent spent that compared to when you don't. Utilities, which can add up very quick, and then others. So if you have other things that in your life that are special circumstances or whatnot, you can add that there, which is a great thing. And then it goes to your income and through the whole year. So you have your wages, your paycheck, your tip, your bonus, commissions. You can see your trend, like what months did I make a lot of money, especially if you're running on commission, like what months are great commission months compared to when are not. And same thing with bonuses. And you also have others. So like if you transfer things, if you have interest, dividends, and gifts and refunds, like gifts, you can see how much money maybe you got for Christmas or your birthday or for a certain holiday and how much that added to it. And then you'll be provided with a summary. It generates a summary of your spending based on the data and your expenses, which I went over, and your income. And you'll have different lines. So as you can see, your green would be income, your red would be expenses, and your gray would be ending balance. And since I have mine set to 10,000, it automatically created the table with 250, 5,750, and then 10,000. You can see how compared to how much money you had earned and everything going in and out, where you would be on the chart. And then it gives you an overall summary of your income and expenses with your net savings and your end balance for every month compared to your starting balance at 10,000. So if you overdrew or underdrew, like to show how much you're spending. Same thing with income and expenses. And you could see how much average money you spent per category. Like, what am I spending the most on? Like, if you have a 4 children, you might be spending the most on that compared to every gifts. Now, if you have no children, you're a student in school, you're going to be spending maybe a lot on debt and education and not a lot on travel. Like all that stuff can change. So this is different compared to the monthly budget because this is on a larger scale. Like your monthly obviously is just for the month. Like it's more detail oriented, like as to what you plan to spend versus what you actually did. And that necessarily maybe wouldn't be good for like a company or whatnot. This is a yearly one where this is good for a person, but also like a company if you wanted to see what you're trying to earn, your profits and all that stuff, because you can edit all this sheet. It's another great way. But both of these tools are great because obviously you can have both on your phone, your computer, tablet, whatnot, and they're always accessible. You can share them with people. So these are great tools to keep you on track, but also not having to have a notebook and like balancing your checkbook constantly. Like it's always here and it's always accessible and able to edit. So I think these are great and I hope this was helpful.